welcome to Watching for a Friend, where I watch movies and shows because I love them and let you know whether it's worth watching or not. If you're new here, thank you for choosing me, and if you're returning, I really appreciate the love and support. I hope that you enjoy this video and stay till the end. I'm back today with another movie review, and today I'm going to be reviewing the 2020 film Becky, and I'm really excited to talk about this movie, so stay tuned and we'll talk about it right now. Becky is a 2020 film starring Lulu Wilson as Becky, a 13-year-old girl who lost her mother to illness and has become quite rebellious in the year following her mother's death. Her father, played by Joel McHale, is moving on and decides to take Becky to their vacation home nestled in the woods, where he invites his new fiancée Kayla and her young son Ty to join them, where they plan to tell Becky about their engagement. Upon hearing the news, the young girl runs to a fort where she plans to hole up alone until the vacation is over. In the meantime, Dominic, an escaped convict, and 3 of his comrades have set their sights on retrieving a mysterious key hidden in a secret basement in the home. They invade the home and take the family hostage, but when the key can't be found, they set their sights on tracking down Becky, who has the key in her possession but is running loose in the woods. Once Becky catches on that these men are harming her family and trying to retrieve this key, she turns the tables and sets her sights on getting revenge. All right, that is a quick synopsis of the film. If that sounds like your cup of tea and you have not seen the movie yet, feel free to go on and stop the video now, as there will be spoilers ahead. Before you do though, feel free to like, subscribe, and click that notification bell. This will help you find this video easier when you come back to watch it later, and it lets the YouTube algorithm know that you like my content and that you want to see more from me. So if you could please do that before you head out, and then I will see you soon. If you don't mind spoilers, or you've already seen the movie, feel free to come on with me and let me tell you my detailed thoughts about this movie. I'm going to start by telling you the things that I really liked about Becky, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about what I wasn't a fan of in this movie. I always appreciate a unique plot, and this one was absolutely unique. This film was very genre-bending, and you'd be hard-pressed to find anything quite like it out there. Now, I have seen a ton of comparisons to Home Alone for a lack of a better movie to compare it to. Now, while Becky was clever, she was no Kevin McAllister, okay? She just wasn't. I think the primary reason they're getting these comparisons to Home Alone is because of the bumbling criminals. And then these bumbling criminals are being taken down by this child's ingenuity and will to survive. Another thing I really liked about this movie was the score. I really appreciated the score to this movie. I thought that it was great at setting the atmosphere and the tone. At one point, the score was someone taking breaths, quick breaths, and I loved that. I thought it was great for the scene that they had it in. And then another one mimicked like a child screaming, and it was right at a moment where Becky was screaming. So I really appreciated the score. I feel like the score is why this film works, and it's why I liked it. And I also feel like this is an indicator that they were trying to have some fun with this film, which in this case worked in its advantage. Now, the last thing I will say is that the movie never gets boring. I like that they experimented with editing and some interesting shots, so parallels between Dominic and Becky's current lives. And this was actually turned out to be pretty important foreshadowing for the movie's ending. And although the foreshadowing was pretty obvious, they did a great job at keeping you from even thinking about the ending, because once the movie gets started, it moves pretty fast after that. So kudos to the filmmakers on that as well. They kept the movie very interesting throughout. I could never predict what was going to happen next. Now, that's about it for what I liked about the movie. Let me tell you what I didn't like about the movie. So the acting itself fell flat for me. Lulu Wilson, I believe, was intended to be the breakout star of this particular film. However, she wasn't likable. I didn't like her. I didn't feel for her. I didn't feel for anybody in the film for that matter. Lulu Wilson in particular, her character just wasn't very likable. She had very little development over the course of the movie. I also think Kevin James was meant to be impressive in this role, as it's a huge departure from his huggable, lovable teddy bear TV personality from King of Queens. However, he didn't really transform into this scary criminal, particularly because he has a signature walk. It's very bouncy and that walk was exactly the same in this movie. So if he had changed his gait a little bit and was a little bit more stalky, then he may have been a little bit more believable in this particular role. But I literally, when he would enter a room or exit a room or he's walking around the woods, all I could hear was the theme song from King of Queens. They slapped a beard on him and told him not to smile, and they thought that was going to be enough to make him menacing, but it just wasn't. So I would have loved to see them direct him better and get a more of a stretch from who he actually is and from who we know him to be from King of Queens. Otherwise, it just didn't work in this particular film for me. Now, the last thing I'll say is that the writing wasn't all that great. Now, I did look up the screenwriters, and it looks like they've done mostly short films, and this was their first feature film, so I'll give them that. I think anyone who is an amateur film, screenwriter is going to kind of make these mistakes around character development. So I think if you're able to look past the kind of amateur screenwriting that we saw here, you'll still enjoy this film. Let me tell you a little bit more about what I didn't like. There were way too many unbelievable characters and plot lines. While the story was solid and it was absolutely unique, the plot was hanging on by a thread, y'all. It was not doing... You could ask one question and the entire thing would unravel. So here are some of the questions that I have. If you have any answers to these questions, feel free to put them down in the comment below, because again, that algorithm, okay? And then I'd also love to actually get some answers from this. My first question is, why does Becky wait so long to offer the key, knowing that her father is being tortured? So she's hearing her father in pain, she's hearing her father being tortured, and it's not until he's about to die that she's like, fine, I'll give you this key. This key didn't seem to hold any significance to her at the time, and it only became significant over the course of the movie because Dominic wanted it. But she didn't appear to know what this key was for, and we never find out what this key is for, why it's significant. So to me, it didn't seem like enough to make you want to, play with your father's life like that. I don't know. Now, she was mad, and I guess 13-year-olds can be extremely vindictive, but the whole point of the movie was that she was trying to get revenge because they killed her father. So why did she allow them to get that far? They wouldn't have killed him if she had given up the key. So to me, it's like, well, girl, give him the key. You would have had your dad. So why are you taking revenge on these men? Anyway, that was my first question. The second question is, how did this random key get into this family's house to begin with? And what did this key open? It coincided, the key had a symbol on it that coincided with Dominic's tattoos, and Dominic was a neo-Nazi white supremacist, and the fact that he had this tatted on him, to me, makes me concerned about what this key actually opens and why Becky herself even cared about this racist key. I don't get it. So that was a little concerning, and I didn't have any answers to that either. So if you have any answers to that question, feel free to comment below, because I'd love to know. I want to get back to the unnecessary characters. So there were actually 4 completely unnecessary characters in this film. 2 were the 2 other criminals besides Dominic and Apex. They had brought these 2 extremely stupid men that got taken out very quickly and very easily, and they were completely unnecessary to to the plot. They were pretty much there just for gore and to add some action and violence to the plot. Outside of that, really no reason. And then the others were actually Kayla and her son Ty. I assumed that at some point they would be essential to the plot, but they never showed any bravery, courage. They never showed any cleverness. I assumed that at some point they had finally escaped toward the end of the movie, and I assumed, because Becky hated Kayla so much, that Kayla was going to do something that redeemed herself with Becky. But no, she didn't do anything. And we would have had the exact same movie if they hadn't been there. So whenever I look at a movie, I always look at characters and how necessary they are to the plot, either moving it forward or to help push some character development. These 4 characters had nothing to do with it. So I would axe them from the movie and save the budget and put it elsewhere. Maybe toward the writing. I think what lacked the entire time for me was that good, palpable tension. Another thing that is small, it's small, probably small, maybe, I don't know if anybody else noticed this, it might just be a me thing. When Dominic, Apex, and their 2 other criminal friends were being transported from one jail to another, they outsmarted the 2 cops that were transporting them. Now, that part didn't bother me. What bothered me, what really, really burned my blood, was the fact that Apex and Dominic themselves, they're outliers size-wise. So Apex looked to be nearly set. He was really, really tall and a big guy. And Dominic himself is very small and round. And these 2 cops that were transporting them were average size cops, fairly in shape. I don't know what kind of sisterhood of the traveling uniforms these were, but they fit Apex and Dominic perfectly. There's no way that would happen in normal life. This was flimsy. It was really flimsy. The last thing that I will say for the writing, and then I promise you I will stop roasting this movie, but the writing really was not where it should have been. If the writing was better, this movie would have been phenomenal. But the last thing is that both Dom and Apex had these horrible grand manifestos.
And our glorious execution of it wasn't at the forefront of my mind.
I got too many stains of my own. It's not too late for you. You're just a kid. I am walking away, and I hope you will too.
No one will bother to look close enough to see the real you. No one but me.
Now, my final thoughts on the movie are that it does have some gory moments. So if you have a weak stomach, this definitely isn't going to be the movie for you. The ending made me very uncomfortable. What I wasn't completely comfortable with is the idea of her really embracing and holding this key as some kind of symbol. That this key and the symbol that it contains, that Dominic also has tattooed on him, have some relation to Nazis or white supremacists in some way. At the end, we see Becky kind of twirling this key, playing around with it, smiling, as if she's kind of symbolically been handed the baton of this particular key or this organization. Not completely sure. And I was like, wait a minute, did she just turn into like a white supremacist or a neo-Nazi? I don't get it. And that made me uncomfortable. I hope, and I don't think that would even get greenlit, but it was something that made me uncomfortable because of Dominic's background that he was very proud of. And they drew so many parallels between her and Dominic at the beginning that I was like, wait a minute, does she just like turn into this like weird criminal leader of this white supremacist underworld? I don't know what the keys symbolize. those are my thoughts on Becky. I would love to hear what you all think about Becky or what you all thought about it. Let me know down in the comments below what you thought, and any theories that you have, any answers to the questions that I had would be much appreciated. I did think that this movie was entertaining, so I wouldn't say not to watch it. I would say go on and give it a try. It's definitely interesting enough. And so yeah, that is all that I have for you today. I hope that you all enjoy this review. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share this with friends and family who you think would enjoy my reviews, my reactions, and more. I also want to thank everybody for getting me to 150 subscribers. I am beyond 150 subscribers now, so now I'm looking to get to 200 subscribers. So if you all could just, again, share this with as many people as possible, let them know that I'm around, and let that YouTube algorithm know that you want to see more content from me, and I will keep posting. So the last thing that I will say is that I may take a little break from YouTube just to resolve some health stuff that I've got going on, and it'll only be maybe a few weeks, so you may not see anything from me. I'm going to try to film as much as I can ahead of time, but editing takes me so long, so I may not be able to get it out to you. But just in case, feel free to rewatch some of my old stuff, and feel free to let me know via social media, which I will put down below, what you would like to see me do next. Thank you so much for watching this video and staying till the end, and I will see